So we're still talking about Farouk Lawan and then Femi Otedola's ploy in all of this subsidy issue. One of the things that I just want to also talk about is the fact that given all of this story and what has happened, at the end of the day, what became the final story about the subsidy regime during the 2011-2012 period was that this guy who was an House of Rep member was then jailed because you know he was told to investigate the subsidy, but later he was caught collecting monies, collecting monies from Femi Otedola, and that was a sting operation. So let me say this.
I heard a brief of Chief Mike Ozekome, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as the lead counsel for the defendant in this case, in which the Honorable Court has just delivered a judgment.
So let us hear your feeling after listening to the judgment of the court and what the decision of your team will be going forward.
It's very clear we are clearly dissatisfied with the judgment delivered by the court.
Yeah, they'll be dissatisfied because they lost that case. So Farouk Lawan was eventually, jailed for 7 years for taking 500K bribe from billionaire Femi Otedola. So Femi Otedola is in the news right now, and he's going to go to court again. He's going to sue UMAR Lawyer. I don't know. It was scheduled to speak at a Rice TV just a few moments ago. Let me see if he's been able to do that interview. He wants to come and kind of lay everything, he wants to lay everything out there, bare, and we'll see what happens. Let me see. Peter Obi's recent book, SANI. Okay, so it's not yet there. Let me go to the TV channel itself. Sorry, that's too loud. Let me see their videos. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing with respect to that interview. But I'm gonna be following that. I want to know when that happened. Because really he's made a case that Femi Otedola actually stole subsidy monies, and he should be able to come defend that case, and that's where all stands for now. We're waiting for the lawsuits, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's it. Umasoni twisting factor tag at real Femi Otedola in subsidy fraud is laughable. Zeno never claimed subsidy. They only traded diesel, which was deregulated. Otedola was the whistleblower who exposed the real subsidy. And again, there was a time where, to be fair to Otedola also, he said he blew, and told Jonathan to look into the current subsidy issue. Well, that was his claim, and possibly maybe that was what now led to the investigation that the House of Rep were doing. Again, this cabal in charge of the petroleum subsidy, they are really sophisticated. Okay, these are people that you don't even know, but behind the scene, they siphon billions of dollars, and it was a big cabal. So when Tinubu was out there saying that, we've been able to end corruption in subsidy and in forex, you may not like him, but he was right. Because the best thing, and I've had different plans. Some plan was that, reduce subsidy by certain amount, and then so that you can actually capture you can make the impact not to be that much. Again, I'm saying these guys were so sophisticated. So even if you had reduced subsidy to like 50%, of what people were paying, which was going to increase your fuel price, those guys stealing the money will just double whatever it is that they stole. So you'll be back to the initial stage. So that was why the best thing Tinubu could have done, which was not, to be honest with you, when you talk about emotions, when you talk about feelings, when you talk about, how people were burnt, with respect to the removal, it's not a child's play. People suffered. It was real. The art was felt. But the only option was, do you want to kind of, still maintain and keep rearing this ugly subsidy issue, or you just want to cut it off? And again, when it comes to subsidy and there's cash involved, it becomes very difficult for you to be able to control what you give out to the people. So this was 13 years ago. Farouk and OTEDOLA Bible scandal. Nigeria had just been distracted. Well, maybe that was also from maybe his lawyer. I don't know. That's it. Anything done in darkness will come out in lightness. This was OTEDOLA 13 years ago. And I'm not sure if he will be able to. I'm not sure if he will be able to, clean himself 100% out of this, because when you talk about subsidy and you go back to that regime, unfortunately, it's Femi Otedola's name that comes up, and that's just the way algorithm works. That's the way social media works, and that's it. So again, that's where we are on that one. I'll be waiting to see the response of UMAR SANI, because he has said, you know what, I'm going to go defend myself. And yeah, so that's it. So I'm still waiting for his response and his defense. And the court are institutions no Nigerian of good conscience should ever fear. Okay, Arise TV is not caught. The statement he made that all of you are dancing shoki, is that a court judgment? I'll borrow 500 million from the 1 billion. Look for the rest. This guy is laughing. Yeah, I will stay glued to the phone and Umar the cat this afternoon. You're welcome. Let me see. Man, I don't know if there's anything yet. Yeah, nothing. Okay. So again, if you're confused about why this allegation is coming out, what's happening with Pengassan, and all those direct, nothing more than for you to know that there is already a battle going on right now. And there are different sides. You could pick the side of Dangote, you could pick the side of Pengassan. At the end of the day, I'm on the side of what's going to benefit the people the most. Okay? What's going to benefit the people the most? That's the side where I'm on. Now, this is Dangote replying this body, okay? And it's saying that, let me see if I can expand so that you guys can see it. Our attention has been drawn to the written directive issued by the Petroleum and National Gas, SSAN, okay, so Pengassan, to its Total Energies EP branch, Seplat Producing Nigeria Unlimited branch, Renaissance branch, and all of those other branches that I won't be able to read here because it's a lot, to cut off gas supply to NGIC effective immediately, and that all crude oil supply valve to the Dangote refinery should be shut. Wow. It's going to be, Dangote said something. He said the cabal in the oil industry, both local and international, is the biggest cabal ever. Unbundled in all of these also is you add those that were benefiting from subsidy fraud, who they feel that they can still perpetrate themselves. Because imagine someone stealing trillions of naira, over time, it gets to a point where they have to find a way to sabotage whatever it is that is happening. So don't you think because Tinubu removed subsidy, these corrupt individuals, they all disappeared? No. They would have filtered through different things. There's those that are stealing money from, then through oil, and there were those that were stealing money from the Forex regime, where you had like 5 different Forex rates. There's also those that, are also stealing money from the security mishap that is happening. That's why each year you keep allotting more dollars or more naira to tackle security issues in Nigeria, and nothing gets done. It gets worse by the day. So there are a lot of people benefiting from that. But again, let me see if I can still read this. This is brazen habit, shocking display of lawlessness and criminality by Pengassan. Absolutely no law gives Pengassan the right to direct his branches to cut off gas and crude oil supplies to Dangote refinery or at all. So now they're not able to catch Dangote from the Dangote refinery side. They want to go meet now the suppliers. Do you understand? To sabotage Dangote. Now, again, I understand the whole thing. Dangote himself is a mafia when it comes to all of this thing. So it's not like Dangote is the nice man here. And also, it's not that Pengassan is also the nice man here, because these guys also, they benefited from all of this so-called arrangement that has made Nigeria poor as of today. Okay, so you're talking about Pengassan, you're talking about Dangote. I mean, there is no innocent guy, there's no right guy, there's no righteous guy in both of them. They're both as corrupt as it comes. Let's just get that clear. But again, how does all of this benefit the Nigerian people? Now, Dangote just wrote this and, says, okay, fine, the people, the Pengassan rather, really wants to sabotage him. Let me just read the last place here, because it's just too brief. There's no Nigerian household that does not use or need a petroleum product, which Pengassan has now directed his branches by FIA to withdraw from the Nigerian market. Again, we list some of them: petrol, cooking gas, diesel, kerosene, and aviation. The petroleum, whatever. The association must not be allowed to ride roughshod on Nigeria, and the repercussions from the Pengassan directive would affect and inflict harm on all Nigerians. This is therefore a fight for all Nigerians. We must encourage and nudge Pengassan to live up to the commitment in his press release of 26 September 2025 to we take all necessary action, not illicit and criminal actions, to challenge Dangote refinery. Okay, so that's what they're saying. They want to challenge Dangote refinery, but again, we'll see how that works. Now you have this guy. Let me listen to this one first.
Yes, don't do that. Professor Kenny, don't equate 800 workers to 230 million Nigerians. You don't equate 800 workers to 42 million employees in this employers in this country, and you don't allow this country to bleed 14.5 billion every day for salaries of workers that, I mean, this is talking about 14 times more salaries. I was just going to ask you about that. Professor Kenny, I was just going to ask you about that. But let's get this right. The life of an average Nigerian matters. I mean, I know you're equating it to 230, but we have to also place some sort of dignity for the average Nigerian, whether or not. So I know that is not perhaps justifiable, but when you look at the possible implications of this nationwide strike, the fact that, just as you've said, 14.7 billion naira as a nation, we're going to lose that on a daily basis. How concerning is that decision? Look, if you look at if the 800,000 workers, if the 800 workers are receiving 100,000 naira a month, that will come to only 80 million or 800 million. But look at what you are going to lose in a day is equivalent to 14,000 workers. There's 14,700 workers earning 100,000 naira a month. What you are losing in one day. This hemorrhage, this country is not prepared for this scale of hemorrhage. And it is unfair. What you are destroying the jobs of these workers because you are closing the door for any further negotiation. And then what happens? You're not even going to allow other people to enter this space. And let me tell you something. Don't fight a war you cannot win. All right. Because you can't stop that company. It's in the free trade zone. That company can decide not to sell 1 liter of petrol to Nigeria. You cannot stop that. But it should decide it is going to do it. It's going to do it. All right. So let's be reasonable.
All right, Professor Ife.
Again, I don't know, but there's been a lot of stories with respect
all
to
hands
this.
on deck, because if we're not.
Let me see this: violation of labor right or sabotage. So it's just crazy how this is really a litmus test on Tinubu, not even Dangote or Pengassan. How do you strike the balance? How do you actually have something that works between both parties? Because again, we have been running this petroleum scheme handled by the government since we know Nigeria to be Nigeria, and it hasn't helped anybody. At times, you just have this guy say they're going to go on strike, and everywhere is thrown into pandemonium. You start seeing huge lines, across everywhere. So again, at what point can they make their demands, okay, and then just make their demands and still ensure that the country does not suffer for it? I understand workers' rights, okay, yeah, they should have their right to protest and all that, but again, how do you square that? Okay, how do you square that? Let me see if I can go through this. See.
By PENGASSAN or at all. So these affect immediately the bottom line. In this particular instance, PENGASSAN has asked its leadership, its members, to go on strike. Will I say they started the strike today, or they're supposed to start today? They are citing Section 7 of the Labor Act, they say, which prohibits discrimination and ensures the right to fair treatment in the workplace. And they say that the action of Dangote Refinery are in glaring violation of their labor laws. What are they fighting over? They are fighting over the unjust termination of over 800 Nigerian workers whom they say their dedication and service have been integral to the operations of this plant. Instead of valuing and retaining the workforce, management has chosen to replace these qualified Nigerians with over 2,000 Indian workers, many of whom lack valid immigration documentation. These are the allegations of PENGASSAN, and they have directed their members to go on strike to fight this. However, Dangote refineries, they've not been quiet. They have also, released a statement saying that the attention has been drawn to the directive issued by PENGASSAN on the 26th of September to all of its branches. They named all of the branches here: Total Energies, Seplat, Renaissance, Chevron,
Okay, so
Owando,
I read all of I read all of those. Sorry about that. Okay, so I read all of those where you had all those stories, and you had what was it called again? You had them talk about, they don't want this, they don't want that. Now, the whole thing has to just do with unionizing. Okay, and it's always a battle. There's always a battle. There was a case in I think where some unions wanted to join, some staff wanted to join the union member, and I think it had to do with Amazon. And you know what happened? Jeff Bezos, who is the owner of Amazon, just decided to close down all the stuff. It happened in Canada. He just decided to move all the stuff. So there must be a good way to arbitrate or to mediate first, before you arbitrate all of this issue. Because that's just it becomes a little bit, crazy to have all this stuff happening.
The strike threatens to disrupt the nation's energy sector and would test how far Nigeria is willing to go to protect its workers. Meanwhile, Dangote Refinery is pushing back strongly against the allegations by Nigeria's All Workers Union. In a statement by the refinery has dismissed PENGASSAN's claims as lies and terror tactics, accusing the union of spreading misinformation to disrupt operations. Dangote insists it has acted within the law and rejects allegations of mass sackings or anti-labor practices. The company warns the strike could harm Nigeria's economy and energy stability, even as the government faces calls to intervene in the escalating dispute. where the federal government and the Ministry of Labor is saying that these can be resolved amicably for the sake of the nation's economy.
Hey,
let's speak with the leader of PENGASSAN, the president of PENGASSAN, who is also the president of TUC, Comrade Festus Osifo, is live for us on the program tonight. Comrade, thank you so much indeed for joining us on the program.
Shehu, thank you so much. Good evening to you and good evening to Nigerians. Yeah.
Let me begin by asking you, don't you think that these planned nationwide industrial action that you have decided upon by you and your colleague could be described as a sabotage on the economy and also hurt not only the economy, commerce and trade, but also national productivity?
Shehu, thank you so much. Thank you for having me in this program this evening. First, before I go into your question, I wish to clearly state, first of all, that what PENGASSAN has stood for over the years. As an association, we pride ourselves that we are the people behind the numbers that you see of the crude oil production on a daily basis. That we are the people that are literally carrying the Nigeria economy in our back. And this has been like that for over 60 years.
Okay, so you're the people carrying the Nigerian economy on your back. That's fine. Okay, but you're not the only people, because you're there because there are certain other people in the society that are also available to use that product. And the only reason why you have so much powers, even more than other profession, is because oil and gas is still the major energy source of the whole country. And the country has not been able to diversify away from this oil, which has now become one of the major pain points, in the country as of date. So again, I understand that. That is not belittling the work that people that work on those oil rigs, which they also get paid handsomely for, and those that transport, which they also get paid handsomely for, that does not diminish their work. But at the end of the day, you cannot use your own power to hold the whole country hostage. Again, I'm not saying that Dangote shouldn't also concede to some of the points that have been made, but the way unions work at times, it's surprising.
The traction you've seen in the oil and gas industry today is actually because of what PENGASSAN has stood for over the years. So it may interest you to know that the oil and gas industry today is one industry that employ the best and brightest Nigerians across board. In fact, if you go to Shell, you have over 200 first-class graduates, both Nigeria and abroad. Most of them are PENGASSAN members. If you go to Total Energies, you have over 100 first-class graduates taught across board. So the same thing you have across the industry. So these are people that are intelligent. These are people that are knowledgeable. These are people that clearly understand the industry, from accounting to law to geology and all that. And it may interest you to also know, Shehu, and for your viewers to also know, that the current chairman of NNPC Limited was once a PENGASSAN official, Engineer Musa Kida. The immediate past GCEO of NNPC Limited, Kiari, was the PENGASSAN leader in Nigeria. In fact, he contested for PENGASSAN president in 1998 and only lost by 2 votes. So these are people that have contributed to the growth of this industry. In fact, the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, was a PENGASSAN member. So that clearly shows that we are responsible people. That clearly shows that we are people that clearly understand how the economy works. So coming down to your question, Shehu, in engineering, to every cause there is an effect, right? To every action, there is a reaction to any action, according to Newton's law. It's very clear and it's very simple, Shehu. 2 weeks ago, people subscribed to join PENGASSAN freely on their own. They subscribed, they filled forms that I want to be member of this association. In accordance with the Nigeria Constitution, Section 40, that describes freedom of association. So they filled form. They joined. So after doing that, we now did a review. Close to 1,000 people filled forms to join PENGASSAN. Then immediately we got that, we did a review, and we now said, okay, no problem, you can come in, we will accept you. Sure. We wrote a letter on Monday to Dangote, on Monday, just the week that finished now. We wrote a letter to Dangote, informing Dangote on Monday, 22nd of September, that these are the number of people that said they want to join us. Please, according to the law, deduct their checkup dues. That's what the law requires. The Trade Union Act is very clear. These are laws of Nigeria. Deduct the checkup dues. Once you deduct the checkup dues, please remit to us as prescribed in the law. And secondly as well, these are the executives. These are the executives that will be leading on a temporary basis until we conduct a substantive election to have executive in Dangote refinery. Mind you, these people are engineers, they are accountants, they are people that are graduates. Minimum is first degree. Some of them who have PhDs. So after that, what now happened? On Tuesday, after we submitted that on Monday to Dangote, on Tuesday, he brought his team. They started going from department to department. They started going from unit to unit to verify our list. Calling all these people, are you PENGASSAN members? Did you subscribe to PENGASSAN? Everybody answered in affirmative that yes, that we have subscribed to be a member of PENGASSAN, and that we are exercising our freedom and our right to unionism and our right to collective bargaining agreement. So now, after this happened on Tuesday, 23rd, it happened on Wednesday, on the 24th of September. Then immediately after that, what Dangote now did was that he came and he now issued a mass sack letter to all of them on Thursday. Shehu, this is not a banana republic, Shehu. Shehu, this is not done. So if the Nigerian economy is suffering today, Dangote should be held responsible, because this is not how to act. Shehu, let me quickly draw your attention. Dangote said he invested $20 billion in the refinery, Shehu. Shehu, I work for Total Energies. I've been in upstream of oil and gas for 20 years upward. Shehu, the amount of money that Dangote has invested in the refinery is less than 10% of the money that Total Energies, ExxonMobil have invested in Nigeria. It's less than 10%. So we've done the economics. The amount of money Dangote has invested in Nigeria is less than 5% of the amount of money Shell invested in Nigeria or Chevron invested in Nigeria. So, but there is PENGASSAN there is NUPEN there. We work collaboratively. PENGASSAN and NUPEN has been in this institution for over 40 years.
Okay. Before we even go, I know where it's going. With the Dangote only did 10%. Bro, I cannot refute that statement. I cannot affirm that it was 10%. But to be honest with you, the havoc that the immediate past CBN governor, one, immediate past administration, two, of Buhari did to Nigeria, that we were shortchanged. Remember all those years where you guys were looking for dollars? And they will tell you that, you know what, there's no dollar. Then you call your branch manager. Branch manager will say, oh, sorry, your money, your request for dollars is on the queue. And then the branch manager is calling someone at the head office. Someone at the head office is calling someone at CBN and doing all those nonsense while artificially putting the value of Naira above what it should be by not deregulating the dollars is what actually gave rise to this. Who benefited from this? The number one person that benefited from the short change of the FX regime is nobody but Dangote. I mean, it got so bad that even other business stalwarts, like what's the name of this guy? The guy in charge of Bois Cement. I think his name is Ahmed or something. To write CBN and say, guys, why is it that Dangote gets all these dollars and we're here and we can't even have access to dollar? And then why are you giving it to him at a very ridiculous cheap rate? So in credence to what this guy is saying, I fully agree with what he's saying, that, you know what, when we talk about this Dangote refinery, I mean, I don't want to go there, but let's also be sincere. Number one, we have people that are retarded as politicians, because it wasn't the job of this guy to be calling out. It's not the job of even activists to be calling out. That was what the National Assembly should have been doing. Like, guy, you can't be giving Dangote FX at ridiculous rates. And then I remember then, I just heard, without even producing 1 liter of petrol, it was like, oh, we've paid back, a chunk of the loans that we got. And I'm like, how does this even work? In a country where you had those few people in charge of dollars, in charge of everything. And that was why, to Tinubu's credit, he had to scrap all those nonsense, because what these guys were doing in the last few years before Tinubu was really, really, I would say, destructive, just to put it mildly. So again, I understand what he's saying. I kind of agree with his point there when he says that, how much has Dangote invested. But that being said, also, the reason why it's important that Dangote did this job and had to do it was because we had people that had no brains as our politicians. So again, yeah, in Dangote's credit, it was smarter than almost every other person combined, and was able to use all those politicians at his own will. Is it a good thing? I don't know. I don't know. Is that good? I don't know. But again, every other person in Dangote should have done the same.
Since PENGASSAN was founded in 1978, and we have worked with them to the growth of this organization. That today, so when PENGASSAN joined Total Energies, for example, the production maybe was less than 20,000, but today Total Energy produces over 300,000 barrels per day, due to the effort and the value that we have brought to the table. So, Shehu, the question today is that who is really sabotaging Nigeria? Is it the person that woke up on a particular day and sent a single letter to terminate all the Nigerians working in his refinery and bring in Indians to work here in Nigeria? Shehu, this is 2025. This is not how to act. Dangote should go and understand the oil and gas industry and understand.
And again, I understand where Dangote is coming. These unions, they can frustrate your life. But at the end of the day, Dangote should understand. I understand Dangote is a mafia. Dangote is a mafia. Don't forget all those soft, what we have been investing in this country. If I give it the opportunity, we'll even do more. We've been training. No, that's not Dangote. Forget all those his soft voice when it comes out, when it's giving public. That's just he's a gentleman. Bro, in Nigeria, if you're not tough, if you're not a mafia, they will destroy your business. Have you had a business before? Have you tried to work with staff before? And you gotta understand that it doesn't even work. So that's the one part of me that says that, you know what, at times, if you own a business, entrepreneur, you understand that staff could frustrate you. But at the other end, when you become big, like a Dangote, then you've got to also understand that the method you're going to use here is going to be carrot and stick. You cannot just sack people for joining a union group. It's against the law. If you don't like it, then you have to change the laws. You can't tell them to go to court. Because when you say go to court, we know what that means, right? Like, we understand what that means, that the power balance changes once you get to court. So again, I think this could be well handled. You don't have to sack 800 people, okay?
How it functions. He has been in other industry, but clearly he doesn't understand how this industry works. So PENGASSAN and NUPENG is entrenched everywhere. And we are responsible for the oil and gas production in Nigeria since inception.
Mr. Osifo, let me jump in quickly. If you look, and I want the producer, please, it's important, be fast with me, please, those who are putting up those slides, please. Put on the PENGASSAN statement where you're asking all your staff to withdraw their services. This was from your yesterday meeting, your NEC meeting from yesterday. And you said effective from today, it means that from Monday, you are asking Nigerians to, well, I wouldn't say Nigerians don't care what you and Dangote, your conversations are. But the bottom line here is that we know the economics of oil and gas in Nigeria. One day disruption can trigger weeks of scarcity.
Unending
What
scarcity,
Nigerians are going to be feeling from tomorrow morning, those innocent people who rely on public transport, on fueling their gas into their vehicle, what they will be expecting tomorrow is a shutdown. Basically, that there will be hardship in the land, scarcity in the land. People are going to be on the street again in the rain. That is what Nigerians are going to be experiencing. This a lot of people will think it's unfair.
Sheon, your position is not correct on this. I'm sorry, it's not correct. Sheon, PENGASSAN, we operate largely in the upstream sector of the Nigerian oil and gas industries. All right? So, as of today, in the same Dangote refinery and across the tank farms, there is over 30 days sufficiency of PMS distribution. So, there is no disruption that is going to affect that, all right? So if Dangote decide, for example, not to supply PMS to the people, PENGASSAN, we don't have tanker drivers. We don't work in, our job is at the sophisticated engineering jobs, all right? So it is not our responsibility to move products from Dangote refinery to the fuel station. No, that is not our responsibility. So
are you saying that your strike is of no consequence? If you go on strike, everything will go on as normal.
No. It depends on where it's going to.
So when you say my position is incorrect, just a moment, sir. Just a moment, sir. When you say my position is not correct, you make it look as though that I'm misinforming Nigerians as to the importance of you and you have thousands of staff and members of PENGASSAN. There is an effect, a big effect on your role in the oil and gas chain. That's the point I'm making. It's going to affect the bottom line, whether or not you have tankers or not. But you are a critical factor in the chain.
That's correct, Shehu. Yes, you are. That's correct. So I want us to disaggregate what the effect would be. So that is actually my point. So that the effect as of today, as of tomorrow, even by next weekend, is not going to dovetail to Nigerian queuing to buy PMS. That is what I was trying to explain. It won't dovetail to that. The effect of what we are doing today, yes, as we speak today, currently, we have caught...
I don't agree with that it's not going to impact every other way. It's going to be a chain effect at the end of the day. It's going to be a chain effect because, there's a sequence, right? There's a flow. Okay, there's a flow of activity. So where you say these guys should shut down certain supply, except you're saying that there's sufficient reserve somewhere that you then need to overwork to fill up that reserve. I don't think this PENGASSAN chief is been factual and true. There's no way. Then if it's not going to disrupt anything, then just go on strike forever. So how many days do you need to go on strike before Nigeria start feeling the pinch of all this?
Supply of gas to the refinery, so the fertilizers and all that. Yes, we've done that because if someone said he's mad and he's crazy, we will tell him that we are the good that lay the golden eggs and that we are even much more crazier because it is not correct. The Nigerian government, they must be able to rein in on Dangote. The Nigerian government must be able to call him to order, to let him understand that this is not a banana republic. These are nations governed by laws. These are nations governed by rules. No matter how wealthy an individual is, he cannot, sit down and break the law of the nation. President Tinubu is following the laws of Nigeria as the president of Nigeria. He doesn't wake up on a daily basis and just break the... Tinubu can wake up tomorrow and sack the entire civil servant. But he will not do it because he's extremely responsible.
Again, like from what I'm seeing, like if this guy just said they wanted to join PENGASSAN, did Dangote actually tell them no, they can't? Did he give them the benefit of doubt to say no, we can't? Did he ask them not to join or to to withdraw their stuff, or did you just wake up and say, "Oh, you joined, oh, we're gonna sack you"? I mean, that's where the whole thing lies. Like, what happened behind the scene is very, very important. If it's just sacking these 800 workers because they just joined Pengassan, then that's nonsense. That's ridiculous.
So that is the point. The point is that we have rules in Nigeria, we have laws in Nigeria, we have constitution in Nigeria, and these rules and these laws must be clearly obeyed and must be clearly followed. Think of the 800 people, 800 plus people that you just go to work and you were locked out immediately without prior notice. I think Dangote is the cause of all this. All attention should point to Dangote.
Let's get it clear.
Dangote has been in the news a lot. I mean, Nigerians themselves subsidize this guy's wealth. From the accidents on the road, from the mishap happening, from the substandard trailers that he parks out there. I mean, it's all crazy, right? It's all crazy. So again, and now he doesn't want union. I don't know how he's gonna do that, but I kind of get where he's coming from. Again, just to give him that benefit of doubt, because at times the union could frustrate you, but just sacking them without any major escalation and anything. The power that this union have is also great. But if you have other companies, Total, Shell, and all that, being a member of the Pengassan, then why should Dangote not be a member? I mean, that's a question.
Comrade.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The update or the situation of things in Dangote as we have it. Dangote refinery plant 100% shut down. The Dangote fertilizer plant, the train 2, 100% shut down. And train 1 is working at 60%. The diesel plant, is the diesel plant shut down? Is the update as and the facility, as I stated here, is it correct or not?
Yes, it's correct. You are very correct.
Now, give us an understanding, because Dangote's side of the story has published in a statement. They say that you and your colleague are lying, that you are employing terrorist attacks, tactics in your manner of approach. In fact, they say this is intimidation gone too far, the disruption of operation, they target economic sabotage, and they describe your activities as terrorism. That is how Dangote has described it. And they say that what you are spreading to Nigeria is falsehood and misleading the public. But why would you do such a thing, you and your colleague at Pengassan? Comrade.
Shehu, on Monday, tomorrow is Monday, send your camera to the gate of Dangote refineries. You are going to see over 100 staff, sorry, over 800 staff of Dangote refinery that are locked outside. What is more treasonable than that?
Dangote said that whatever you are saying is wrong, that they did not do what you have accused them of doing.
I'm telling you, Shehu, tomorrow morning. So don't take my word, don't take Dangote's word. You are investigative journalist. In fact, you are one of the brightest journalists we have in this country. You can even say Sub-Saharan Africa. Tomorrow morning, send your cameraman to Dangote refinery, please. So when you send your cameraman, I have some clips after this program I will send to you of the people that Dangote locked outside. But tomorrow morning, don't take my word for it. Don't even believe the video I will send to you after now. Don't believe it. Just send your cameraman to Dangote refinery. You are going to see close to 1,000 Nigerians that are locked outside. So by then, you will invite Dangote, as you have invited me now, to your studio, and let Dangote come and explain to Nigerians. Listen, Cheung and our viewers, these people, they have families. These people, they have children. These people, I mean, the school just resumed. They have to pay their children's school fees.
So you can see, let you see. Look at it. Dangote fires back, calls union tactics lawless and extreme. Well, I don't know. I don't know how lawless, I mean, this would go, but I don't know. It's crazy. It's one of two things. There is no perfect answer. That's why I'm thinking that both of them should just meet in the middle. Allow those guys that wants to join the union. But again, craft out certain regulations, because there are benefits for joining a union. You could get some health benefits, some some other benefit with respect to you being able to get something as a group. You could get houses as a group and all that. There are various units. But then the litmus problem is the problem with strike. You want to have your, because Dangote also has to ensure that his numbers are right. When you've done your budget for the year, do we now put, 5% possibility of strike action? Because staff members are now members of Pengassan. So again, you have to also want this to always, be more reasonable. So you could say, okay, you could join the union, but there are exemptions that you won't be able to go on strike without certain criteria. That even if you're going to go on strike, maybe it's going to be phased such that the business is still running. I'm just saying, yeah, I'm not saying you should go with what I'm saying. I mean, I don't even know if that's tenable, but there should be, adults should come to the table and sit down and discuss and say, this is where we want to go. This is the path where we want to go. But for Dangote to just say, we're going to sack you guys because you joined the union, I don't know.
They have to put food on the table of their... So what offense have they committed? Because they have exercised their freedom to unionism. There is union in Chevron. There is union in Shell. There is union in ExxonMobil. These people, what they have invested in Nigeria, what Dangote has invested is less than 10% of what they have invested in Nigeria since 1962. So
quickly,
please, take your camera
quickly, let me say this to you. Because the part where I asked you the question as to how Dangote sees this situation, he sees this as a terror attack on the nation's economy, as a sabotage.
Terror attack, how? Because they're saying that people should not join union. I mean, nobody's blowing up pipelines here. You're right. It's not a terror attack. Okay, that's just been playing with words. It's playing with words. If you don't want them to unionize, then you have to also, give us your reasons why. You could meet in the middle. So for me, I'm not going to 100% be Pengassan, and I'm not going to be 100% Dangote. I'm going to be like, you know what? It's got to be a middle. It's got to be a middle ground. If Shell is doing it, if Total is doing it, if all these other guys are doing it, okay, that's fine. But then if Dangote wants some special treatment, then possibly he can negotiate with that. But why would you sack 800 people? Is it because you want to also play God, on the staff there?
And I remember former the military head of state and the military dictator, General SANI Abacha, in his speech, this was when MK Abiola declared himself the president, the winner of that election. It was around the same time that Pengassan and Nupeng, I mean, it's just so sharp in my memory how the military dictator at the time, in his military uniform, on the national television, on NDNT at the time, declared Nupeng and Pengassan's action as illegal, disbanded the association's leadership, and says that they cannot do what they did, similar to what we are having. Are you worried that such a treatment can be melted on the association?
Yeah, before this guy talks about that, let me even talk about that. Abacha suspended Pengassan. I mean, Abacha was a dictator. Abacha, IBB, all of those military guys that had no business with governance of a nation that threw Nigeria into the mess that we're still dealing with till today. Abacha that killed the wife of Abiola. Abacha that did a lot of atrocity. Had his deputy Dia on the chopping block. Had all of these guys, what's it called? Obasanjo in prison. So that you can't compare that's apples and oranges, right? You can't even compare both. You compare Abacha and you're talking about a disbanded Pengassan. What would Abacha not do? Nobody could question him at that time. Is Dangote now a semi-Abacha or a semi-military dictator that cannot operate within the laws of a country?
And if it's seen as a sabotage on the economy, an economy that is trying to get back on stream after some kind of disruptions and economic problems that we have experienced in the past few months?
Show the position, the people that fought that struggle then, they were given national award later on, 30 years later. The people that led that struggle then, they were not just given national awards, some were given posthumous award. Then the struggle that was led as a then, the agitation as a then, MK Abiola was pronounced as the Nigerian president that was never sworn in. So that has even vindicated Pengassan. That has even clearly shown that Pengassan, we are intellectuals. We are not rascals. We are knowledgeable people. We are people that understand how.
So you are not worried about a government clampdown in the case of a possible economic sabotage being tagged or seen into all of this?
The person that is sabotaging Nigeria economy is Aliko Dangote. Aliko Dangote is whom he is today because of Nigeria. Nigeria gave him a license to import flour, single license.
Now, again, we want to talk about the monopolistic power, because I don't know how this operates, how we've allowed this stuff to operate for so long, where you just you decide that this is the man that I'm going to put all of my economic power on, and you disband every other opposition. Look, so I was just talking about OTEDOLA's stuff, where he says, "Oh, I didn't take from fuel subsidy," which might be true. But what on earth? The guy said, "I was the one. I was not taking from oil subsidy because I was importing 90% of diesel." How will one man be given the sole right to import just the sole right? I mean, these are the inequalities and the injustice that have permeated our economic sphere in Nigeria, where we pick winners, we pick losers, and every other person can go and transform our hang, because you know what? Is this the only guy that has the authority to import certain goods? And you're telling me that that guy would not? I'm not taking out from the fact that, you know, Femi Otedola wrote the book on how to make it big. I'm not against the fact that possibly he went through some trying times in his odyssey to wealth. I'm not against all of those. But what I'm saying is that when do we stop this nonsense of just picking winners and losers in the Nigerian stuff? You give Dangote this, Dangote that. You arrange this for him, arrange this for that. Okay? And then every other person just have to, you know, just calm down. Again, I'm not saying that Dangote is not an astute businessman, and I'm not taking away from what he's done, because left to all of these other business people, they're not even going to dare dream big and do big stuff like Dangote did. So again, I'm just saying that. But that being said, like one person, at times you go to Google and say, "Hey, owner of Nigeria." When you go to Google and say owner of Nigeria, do you know who comes out? When you say owner of Nigeria, I'm telling you, do you know who comes out of that? And that's the ridiculous thing, right? It's just ridiculous. When you say owner of Nigeria, this is me. So look at it. Just do owner of Nigeria. Nobody even tells you that, oh, Nigeria is a country. Just say owner of Nigeria. You see Aliko Dangote. Like, the hell is Google even able to say Aliko Dangote is the owner of Nigeria? You understand? That's by default. It didn't even say Tinubu. You know? Owner of Nigeria, Dangote, and then he brings different things, talks about Tinubu and all that. Because this guy has been given unlimited power. He has more powers than almost all of the politicians combined. Okay? And that's it. Let me see. Owner of USA. You see, the United States, the original 13th colony that will later be founded, were administered as the possession of the British Empire by the Crown this thing. So Wikipedia is saying when you say owner of USA, it gives you United States and talks about United States. But when you say owner of Nigeria, it gives you Dangote. Not me. This is not propaganda. This is internet for you, right? It just brings Dangote out, 100%. Deal with it, bro. Okay, so let's go on.
Nigeria gave him single license to import sugar, single license to import salt. The refinery that Dangote built is our money. With the Nigeria government subsidize first for him to build that refinery. And some of the funds that they gave to him found itself in Uganda. Find itself, he was using Nigeria money to be building what he was building in another part of the world. So the person sabotaging Nigeria economy is Aliko Dangote and his co-travelers.
Why does it seem like the fearsome people around Aliko Dangote is to the effect of some of the things you have said tonight, that Pengassan and Nupeng and the likes are being sponsored and used by the enemies of Dangote to sabotage the refinery and make the biggest investor and the biggest employer in the private sector in Nigeria look bad. Whereas the man says is into an economic disruption for good, economic reforms for good of the nation. And the fact that you and your friends want the status quo to remain, that this is now a new dawn, a new era in economic development of our nation. What does it look like you are speaking in the language of the enemies of Dangote, and they said this is just a sponsored attack on the man?
Well, I may not deny or affirm that. I may not deny that there are people behind the string that are pulling certain impacts and pulling certain things just to make sure Dangote fails. Yeah. But again, you just have to also understand what is happening here. There's a strike. People joined Pengassan. Dangote fired them. There may be people behind saying, you know what, yeah, go hard on him. Go hard on him. It's business. Dangote does it to his competitors. Okay, and Dangote has competitors too, so it's bad when they do it to Dangote, but it's not bad when Dangote does it to his competitor. I don't understand.
For us in Pengassan, we are focused. We don't listen to those side talk. Those that I call those ones side talk that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any meaning. So for us in Pengassan, we are extremely focused. Pengassan today exists in about 200 companies in Nigeria. Pengassan exists in about 200 oil and gas companies in Nigeria. We have contributed to the growth of the Nigeria economy. We are the people that are behind the numbers of the GDP. We are the people that are behind even the foreign exchange earning that we have made in Nigeria over the years. Even the foreign exchange earning that Dangote used in building refineries, it is the oil and gas workers. So, we are not distracted. Those are noise. Dangote is just making noise. We really should know. If Dangote today, if he called back those people that he has terminated today, I can tell you, normalcy will be reinstated in the next less than 1 hour. So every cost, there is an...
So Dangote should call them back and then just put a peg on joining Pengassan, and then later on have more like an agreement or kind of a resolution between both parties. I think that should be a better alternative, right? I don't know, but that should be a better alternative. Just put a strike one side, bring back the 800 people, then suspend Pengassan joining now until when there is a resolution between how Pengassan and Dangote wants to conduct his business. Again, I understand from Pengassan's point of view, they'll be like, you know what, why should we be giving you some exemptions? But again, looking at how the money is in that refinery and all whatnot, I think it's a fair game.
So the fact is this, Shehu. If Dangote did not go ahead to sack Nigerians, I think you must have seen the letter. Shehu, I think you should interrogate Dangote because he's the one that should be interrogated. He's the one sabotaging the Nigerian economy. He's the greatest saboteur of the time. He's the greatest saboteur of the moment. So Dangote should be interrogated. He should be the one that should be cross-examining. Why will you just wake up? Because people opted to join union that exists everywhere in the industry. So you are now doing what you are doing. Ask him those questions, those pertinent questions. He needs to answer them.
Yeah, I'd like us to conclude this conversation. My major fear is the action of every individual, even the number one citizen of this country. His actions should be inspired by nationalism and the interests of the average person and the interest of the nation. And I'm imagining that this is a private interest. No matter what Dangote has done wrong, the single act of shutting down oil or gas supply, don't you think is far too far? Is taking too far?
Extreme.
And the fact that you look at these some kind of brigandage on the Nigerian economy, and you think that the government of the day should fold his arms and look at what is going to hurt the economy, and that this could be is a private entity which could be taken to court for, if you term is that, anti-labor act or labor law actions against its staff, rather than having the nation be on its knees because unions are fighting Dangote. One out of the thousands or millions of private investments in Nigeria. So if unions are acting against every private investment in Nigeria, we will not have a country to call a nation any longer.
So what you should ask yourself is that why are unions not acting against the other private investments in Nigeria? I have worked all my life. If I have never worked for government, all right? All my life, I have worked for a multinational private company, all right? So this company, like I told you, so why is it that they are not perpetuating the same thing that Dangote is perpetuating? Why is it that Shell, they are not perpetuating the same thing? Why is it that ExxonMobil, they are not perpetuating the same thing? That is a question that you should refer to Dangote. So clearly, from the letter that you saw, what is written in that letter, Sheon, is very clear. We are cutting supply to Dangote. All right? Then our members are withdrawing their service. So we are not shutting down any other platform, all right? Except when we have safety concerns, okay? So clearly today, what we are doing as people is that some of our members are locked outside. And the way union works all over the world, Sheon, it is not peculiar to Nigeria. When we say injury to one, injury to all. So when you shut one down, you shut all down. That is how it works. Because our members working in other companies in Nigeria, they also said from the net meeting yesterday, all the chairmen were represented. They said, no, we in this condition, our members cannot be outside the Dangote and you expect us to go to work. That we will not also be able to go to work. So that is actually where we are today. So I think
the only way out for you and the union is that Dangote should recall those staff. If not, solidarity forever.
Absolutely, yes, we've been.
So again, I can see, like, I just went through the comments, right? And you could see people are like, Pengassan, no, you people under the watch of Pengassan, no Nigerian refinery is working to today. How can you be enforcing issues of union on someone's complaint? I've never had a private university follow ASU to go on strike. But then he's saying that Pengassan also works with Shell, Total, and all that. So again, how does that play out? If they can, let me recap my thought here. There are two ways to it. If workers in Dangote can join Pengassan, and also I think the same thing, they should also stop workers in Shell and Total from joining Pengassan, because the other companies are also private companies, and that's what I think. Yes, the workers have the right to join the union, and Dangote has the right to hire and fire. Yeah, but when you fire, fire should be based on competence. I'm saying that maybe the vanilla, just express one union fits all may not be the right thing. There should be some level of competition. Okay, again, it's saying that the brilliant minds that ran the economy. Well, again, you can also argue that Pengassan is losing the PR battle. How can you say these people have contributed to the growth of the oil sector that has been in comatose for years? Well, the oil sector is one thing. There's been different things happening at the oil sector. Well, there are people that go to their job every day. They do whatever they need to do to help the company move on. You have Shell, you have Total, you have ExxonMobil, you have people working now. What does it mean? What do you mean that they've contributed to the growth of the oil sector that has been in comatose? Are you talking about NNPC? Yeah, NNPC is one. Yeah, you're mixing everything up here. Yeah, Pengassan is complicit in the corruption of the subsidy regime, moribund refinery, term fraud, and currently agreed. Yeah, maybe that's right. Okay, maybe that's right. But again, I'm saying that the solution is not just firing 800 people. without them giving the opportunity to resign their membership. And that's what I feel. Where's Tinubu? Everything should be done. Everything should be done to protect Dangote refinery. These cabals are using the union to sabotage Dangote. They are not happy that there are no queues and the prices are reducing. Why is it that immediate Ferguson went on strike, marketers increased their price, Festus stopped the lie? You are underscoring the impotence of Dangote. Yeah, I agree the president should come in, but the problem is this: when Tinubu comes in and settles the issue, everybody will start saying that Tinubu is going beyond his powers. I mean, people will go cause problems. Tinubu will come in to help them. And then it becomes a bigger problem. Right? Because Tinubu will come in now and tell them, this is what's going to happen. Maybe they should join, but then they should be kind of a little bit, tapered in a way. And then people will be like, oh, why is he, and he's going beyond his powers as the president. I saw a place where they said Dangote already has stopped selling stuffs in Naira. Let me see. We're not deterred by Nupeng negative campaign. I'm going to watch this also. This was 13 days ago. I mean, this is a this is a litmus test. And I kind of agree, right, with the union. But again, you have Shell, you have Exxon, you have all these other people also performing. I don't think it's I don't think it's proper and it's right for you to just come and say, oh, Pengassan is bad. Okay, and then Dangote is the right one here. I'm saying in business, everybody's a mafia. I'm not for Pengassan and I'm not for Dangote, but it is what it is. Okay, let me finish
meeting
this.
Tomorrow in the Federal Ministry of Labor. We are going to attend that meeting, and our position is very clear. You cannot send close to 1,000 Nigerians away to the street like that because they are exercising their right to be unionized, and they are exercising their right to a collective bargaining conversation. Right. Those are laws, both local and also subscribed to by the ILO convention. The president of Nigeria should call Dangote to order. Dangote is not bigger than Nigeria. Thank you.
Festus Osifo has two legs in the administration of unions, one serving as the president of Pengassan and the other serving as the president of the Trade Union Congress. Thank you so much, comrade, for talking to us tonight.
Okay, so that's it about. Let me just give you the timeline when all these things started. You had, okay, so this is the timeline. Early 2025. Let me just see. Dangote Petroleum Refinery and the Pengassan centers on allegation of mass dismissal of Nigerian workers for unionizing. Okay? And replacement with foreign workers. Now, you may not really like, how these unions have worked on their affairs for a while, but that doesn't also means that you should also just brush it aside and say, oh, unions are always bad. I appreciate what Dangote is doing, just to be clear. But also, Dangote has benefited from the Nigerian Commonwealth in terms of having juicy project and all that. So you must be able to kind of put the side. I can't be far for Dangote and then off for Pengassan, even though I know that they may also have some other motives. You just must be able to have something that works. So the good spot for me is right in the middle, where each of them should actually address their differences and then come together on the table and make things work. That's how you do things. That's how adults, and that's how adults be. So there's a violation of labor rights under the Nigerian Constitution and ILO Convention. Dangote Refinery denies the mark sacking, framing action as internal reorganization. But those guys are out now and accusing Pengassan of economic sabotage. The conflict escalated into a nationwide strike on September 29, which is today, halting crude and gas supply, regulatory operations, and risking fuel scarcity and price hike and blackouts. Below is the detailed timelines of key events based on the latest report. So this was what happened in early 2025, initial resistance to unionization. Dangote Refinery management resists workers' effort to unionize under Pengassan. Hundreds of Nigerian staff reportedly terminated in prior months for union activities. Related tensions with Nupeng truck driver union over similar issues, leading to government-mediated MOU on September 8 or 9, affirming union rights. The government will always affirm union rights. And let me tell you the truth, nobody can sabotage Dangote Refinery. It is here to stay. Okay? I mean, you can't have $20 billion of, an individual's investment in something. I don't care how, it starts this dollar and all. At this point, it's already working. It cannot go down. It's too big to fail. So September 8 to 15, escalation with New Peng spills over. PENGASSAN declares solidarity with New Peng against Dangote anti-union practices. Temporary injunction against strike expires September 15, highlighting on record. Okay. Then what happens? September 23 to 25, mass unionization and termination. Over 90% of Dangote Nigerian senior staff, over 800 workers, join PENGASSAN. Union notifies management for due remittance. The problem with unions is that their penchant for always wanting to get more money is always what is always baffling. Because union will always want to collect money. HR verification exercise conducted. So if Dangote was saying that we're not going to pay you guys the remittances, okay, then just say that outright. Then, why would Dangote, in a very subtle manner, say, we're verifying people that wants to join PENGASSAN so that we can remit the dues? Okay, that's not been fair. That's been fraudulent. Because if you had said, for working here at the Dangote Petroleum Refinery Group, you're not allowed to join, PENGASSAN and all that, and as a result of that, you wouldn't be able to, be a member of the PENGASSAN union. But why would you now do a verification? Because that's it. HR, Dangote HR, as a verification exercise. And then on September 25, HR Chief Femi Adekule issues memo for total reorganization, citing reported sabotage. And then he terminated all of them. Why would you do the verification and then turn back to terminate them? I don't understand. So in this place, I fought Dangote. Because maybe out of the 800, maybe only 50 would say, you know what, no matter what, I don't care. I have to join. But when you say, fine, you are not allowed to join a union is one thing. But HR cannot say they're not allowed to join a union because they're going to go against the law that they have the right to join the union. And I'm not for union, I'm not a union person, because at the end of the day, everybody fights for his own self-interest. Dangote is fighting for his own self-interest. The union is fighting for his own self-interest too. 5 minutes. Yeah. So terminated all affected Nigerian worker expatriates paired. You see that? So we do this to ourselves. Terminated all affected Nigerian workers, expatriates paired. Why did you terminate the expatriates? PENGASSAN labels improvisation. So Dangote is not the good man here. Let's be clear with ourselves. Maybe PENGASSAN is also not the good man, but Dangote clearly is not the good man here. Okay, so September 26th, emergency union response. PENGASSAN convenes emergency National Executive Council meeting. Leaked memo sparked outrage. Union vows workers recall. Dangote denies mass layoff, claiming only a few affected for efficiency. Now, it's already tainted. No, it's already tainted. Over 3,000 Nigerians still employed, but NANS warns against sabotage. So NANS now coming into the whole picture, and we'll see how that goes. So September 7, 27, 25, strike directive now is now been issued. NEC orders. Field workers withdraw services from 6 p.m. Office agency staff from 12:01 a.m. to September 29. Out all gas supplies to refinery via branches at Total Energy, Chevron, Shell, Nigerian Gas. Accusation of staff boss withdrawal and access denial. Dangote calls it economic sabotage. Okay. Talk. TUC backs PENGASSAN, condemns this now. September 28th. This was September 27th. September 28th. Field shutdown begins 6 a.m. Control rooms, panels, outfit ops altered, IOCs, independent oil contractors, okay? Ramp down production, 24 hours, vigil called. FG summon parties to emergency Abuja meeting via Ministry of Labor, Petroleum and NU PLC. Minister Magari Dinyadi, whatever that, okay, appeals to suspend strike for dialogue, citing economic and national security risks. Dangote accuses Pengassan of lawless act, echoing 2007 refinery deal interference. TUC places affiliates on red alert, demands reinstatement and apology. Yeah, call those guys back. Now, maybe put joining Pengassan somewhere, but you cannot say you're doing verification and then to come out and then you sack them and then you say, oh, it's on efficiency stuff. Now, at this point in time, I would not, support that kind of tactics. So September 29, you have the strike ongoing to the shutdown from 12:01, barricade at NNPC, NUPLC, NMDPRA offices in Abuja. Workers locked down, refinery ops 100% outed, fertilizer plant impacted, poor marketers once of scarcity and price surge. Power blackout risks looms. Peter Obi appeals for swift FG resolution. Conciliatory meetings held today, no suspension yet. Pengassan insists on full reinstatement. Dangote warns of terror on 230 million Nigerians, but it's not terror. It's not terror. I mean, this should have been well handled on both sides. You cannot just sack on 1,000 people and then feel like, oh, these guys won't fight back. And again, who has a lot of things to lose? Those 1,000 will lose their job, but again, this union case, and people are like, oh, no. Guys have been always involved in the first subsidy camp and all that. Yeah, maybe they've been sabotaging, but again, you have to be smarter than them. Okay. So now Pengassan says recall the staff. Dangote refinery rejects claim insists reorganization affects smaller number. How will you sack 800 people out of 3,000? On what basis? What was their appraisal like last appraisal period? How long have they worked? Those are the things you ask. Have you given them certain targets that they didn't meet that make you to want to sack them? Those are the questions. But again, broader context, okay? Echoes NUPEC clashes would out Nigeria refinery output 100% from Dangote. Well, public figures like Shehu SANI urges dialogue. Anybody with a good brain will know that dialogue is the only thing that can work. If the two of them go their own way, go extreme, parallel lines, no, it's not going to result into anything. It's not going to result into anything. And oftentimes, I understand that workers could be overbearing, but also entrepreneurs could also be overbearing. Andrew Carnegie, remember, he tendered his name where he ordered, like the supporters ordered firing of staffs in the early 1900s. And staffs were literally gunned down because they were protesting for higher work relations and benefits. But he just wanted the steel, company to go on and on and on and on and there. And workers were what? At some point, workers couldn't even stand it. They did a protest and there was an order and then workers were shut down and killed in the process. That tented his image forever. Maybe that was why he went on a tirade of donating almost everything, almost all the 400 billion. We was the richest man at the time. So again, I'm saying that the middle ground is what will work here. And not Dangote just, waking up in the morning and sacking everybody. I mean, 800, and replacing them allegedly with 2,000 Indians. Yeah, so that's it for now. Let me see. Again, Pengassan also should know that it's not just any small trigger that then just cause strike and then disrupt everything. I mean, it's also crazy. Let's see. Okay, I love this, but let me see. Let me just see where we are. Okay, Peter Obi is waiting in. I'm worried about the lack of response by the government. What do you say lack of response? They're walking behind closed doors, bro. And eventual commencement of a strike by Pengassan, which is already having a very adverse impact on the Nigerian citizens and the Nigerian economy, I would appeal to the federal government to intervene quickly to resolve this dispute in a manner in a manner that protects the interest of the Nigerian people, Nigerian workers, Nigerian investors, and the economy at large. The protection of this interest in a win-win manner is the primary responsibility of any responsible government. Are you saying the government is not responsible? Peter Obi, the federal government was lent to rip in the bud the labor crisis that has the potential of creating further suffering for the already struggling citizens of our country. I know those will start replying him. The person sabotaged by the owners of Malta oil blending. Pengassan action is reckless. Cutting crude and gas supply and forcing shutdown at critical node is economic sabotage at the time the country is bleeding. The union has ordered to Dangote refinery feedstock and operation at key oil and gas agencies. With credible warning of price spike and power disruption, the federal government must move now, convene an emergency tripartite session, secure minimum service level, and promptly clip the wings of this weaponizing the essential energy supply. Yeah, I think that might be too extreme, but at the same time also, I believe, like I said, middle ground is the best. Doctors went for strike for 13 months in your strike. What's your response? Okay. Yeah, we'll see how that works. Yeah. Exactly. That's what I said. How are you blaming Pegasus for refineries not working? But okay, it's fine. You don't blame teachers for dilapidated school, doctors for dilapidated hospital, drivers for roads, staff for airports, staff for dilapidated water system, but you're blaming Pegasus for dilapidated refineries. Well, maybe in a way. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna be off for now, and then I'll join in the next few minutes. And when I come back, there are a lot of stories that I still want to talk about. A lot of things happening. I'm gonna talk about the ADC. ADC has given an ultimatum to Peter Obi, and yeah, for all it's worth, they want him to join them or just stop. Branding himself as an APC sympathetic person. But we'll see what happens. Yeah.